The Zephyrian High Command watched the blue marble turn slowly on their tactical displays, its surface teeming with the chaotic energy signatures of 7 billion humans. Admiral Vextai clicked his mandibles in satisfaction as the bioweapon canisters detached from their stealth vessels, beginning their silent descent through Earth's atmosphere like deadly raindrops against the void of space. "The pathogen has been deployed, Admiral," reported his aide, Lieutenant Kretak, his voice carrying the reverent tone reserved for witnessing historic moments. "Atmospheric dispersal will be complete within 72 standard cycles." Vextai's compound eyes gleamed with cold calculation as he studied the tactical hologram. Each pulsing dot represented millions of human lives about to be extinguished. The humans had been marked for extinction the moment they'd begun reaching beyond their solar system with their crude chemical rockets and primitive space stations. Their aggressive expansion, their unpredictable nature, their disturbing tendency to thrive in impossible conditions. All of it made them too dangerous to ignore. The Galactic Council had been unanimous in their decision. The weapon they'd chosen was elegant in its simplicity, a masterpiece of biological warfare refined over centuries of conquest. The Helix Plague had wiped out 17 civilizations across the galaxy, from the silicon-based Christex to the energy beings of the Proxima Nebula. It attacked the respiratory system first, infiltrating lung tissue with microscopic precision, then spread throughout the body like wildfire, breaking down cellular structures at the molecular level until nothing remained but gray dust scattered on alien winds. No species had ever survived it. No species had even lasted more than 48 hours once infection began. "The beauty of this weapon," Vextai mused aloud, his voice carrying the satisfaction of a predator cornering its prey, "is that it leaves their infrastructure intact. Their cities, their technology, their resources, all will remain for us to claim once the extermination is complete." Around the command center, dozens of Zephyrian officers monitored various aspects of the operation. Atmospheric analysis stations tracked the pathogen's dispersal patterns, biological sensors measured infection rates, and communication intercepts prepared to document humanity's final chapter. This wasn't just warfare, it was scientific observation of extinction in real time. "Sir, we're receiving the first reports from our observation posts," Lieutenant Kretak continued, his tentacles dancing across the holographic interface. "The pathogen has made contact with the human population centers. Initial readings show successful penetration of their atmospheric filtration systems." Vextai nodded approvingly. The humans' own technology would be their downfall. Their air conditioning systems, their ventilation networks, their very attempts to control their environment would ensure the plague reached every corner of their civilization. Within days, their hospitals would be overwhelmed. Within weeks, their governments would collapse. Within a month, Earth would be ready for Zephyrian colonization. "Excellent. Begin monitoring their communications on all frequencies. I want to document their final moments for the historical archives. Future generations should know how the great human threat was neutralized." He paused, savoring the moment. "And prepare the colonization fleets. We'll want to begin terraforming operations as soon as the biological contamination clears." The Zephyrian Empire had perfected this process across dozens of conquered worlds. First, the plague would eliminate all native life forms. Then, automated drones would begin atmospheric conversion, adjusting oxygen levels and introducing Zephyrian-compatible microorganisms. Finally, the colony ships would arrive to claim another world for their ever-expanding empire. But somewhere in the calculations, the biological models, the careful planning that had consumed months of preparation, the Zephyrians had made one crucial error. They had studied human physiology, analyzed their genetic structure, and mapped their biological weaknesses with scientific precision. What they hadn't studied was human history. They didn't know about the Black Death that had swept through medieval Europe, killing a third of the population but leaving the survivors stronger. They hadn't analyzed the Spanish flu pandemic that had claimed millions but failed to destroy civilization. They hadn't considered the countless smaller plagues, viruses, and biological challenges that had shaped human evolution for millennia. Most critically, they didn't understand that humans were the only known species to have survived multiple extinction-level events on their home planet. Ice ages, asteroid impacts, volcanic winters, and countless plagues had all tried to end humanity's story. Each time, humans had adapted, evolved, and emerged stronger than before. Meanwhile, thousands of light years away, in a small town in Ohio, Dr. Emily Rodriguez sneezed for the third time that morning and reached for another tissue from the box on her desk. Spring had arrived early this year, and with it, the worst hay fever season she could remember. Her eyes were watering, her nose was running, and she felt that familiar scratchy sensation in her throat that always accompanied the seasonal pollen surge. Outside her office window, she could see the trees beginning to bloom, their branches heavy with the promise of new life. She had no way of knowing that microscopic alien spores were mixing with the spring pollen, or that every breath she took was introducing her body to a biological weapon designed to end human civilization. Dr. Rodriguez? Her nurse, Janet, poked her head through the door. Your 9 o'clock is here, and she's got the same symptoms you do. Says it's the worst allergies she's ever had. Emily nodded, wiping her streaming eyes. Send her in. Looks like it's going to be a busy day. If the Zephyrians could have seen this moment, their perfect weapon being dismissed as seasonal allergies, they might have reconsidered their invasion plans. But they were too busy celebrating their imminent victory to notice that their greatest enemy was about to become something far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. The silent invasion had begun, but it wouldn't end the way anyone expected. 3 weeks into what the Zephyrians believed would be humanity's final chapter, Admiral Vextai found himself staring at reports that made no sense. The holographic displays around him flickered with data streams from observation posts across Earth's surface, each one telling the same impossible story. Explain to me again why the humans are still alive. He growled at his chief scientist, Dr. Mordak, his mandibles clicking with barely contained rage. The scientist's tentacles writhed nervously as he manipulated the three-dimensional biological models floating between them. Admiral, our observations show that 97.3% of the human population has been infected with the Helix plague. The pathogen has successfully integrated into their respiratory systems and begun cellular infiltration exactly as our models predicted. And then, Vextai's voice carried the dangerous calm that preceded his legendary explosions of fury. Then, Dr. Mordak's tentacles coiled tighter around his data pad. Then they display the initial symptoms: respiratory distress, excessive mucus production, inflammation of the nasal passages and ocular regions, elevated histamine responses, all perfectly consistent with stage 1 of the plague progression. But they're not dying. No, sir, they are not dying. Instead, they complain about what they term allergies and purchase chemical compounds they call antihistamines from their commercial establishments. Many consume heated plant extracts, a beverage they call tea with honey. A significant percentage simply continue with their daily activities while displaying symptoms. Vextai's silence was more terrifying than any roar. Around the command center, junior officers busied themselves with their instruments, afraid to meet their admiral's compound gaze. The Helix plague was supposed to be a death sentence delivered with the precision of a molecular scalpel. Instead, humans were treating it like a minor seasonal inconvenience. Dr. Mordak activated another display, showing cellular analysis from captured human tissue samples. Sir, we've detected some unusual adaptations in their immune response systems. The human white blood cells are not behaving according to our biological models. Show me. The hologram shifted to display microscopic imagery that defied everything the Zephyrians understood about biology. Human immune cells were not just fighting the plague. They were incorporating it, learning from it, using its genetic material to strengthen their own defenses. This is impossible, Vextai whispered. The Helix plague attacks at the cellular level. It should be breaking down their genetic structure, not whatever this is. Meanwhile, across Earth's surface, humanity continued its daily routine with minor complaints about the weather. In Chicago, construction worker Jake Peterson wiped his streaming eyes with the back of his work glove and took another swig of his energy drink. The taste seemed sharper today, more intense, like his senses were becoming more acute. Man, this pollen is killer this year, he muttered to his coworker. then hefted a steel beam that would have required a small crane just weeks earlier. He didn't notice that what used to be a two-man job was now effortless for him alone. His coworker, Miguel Santos, nodded while adjusting his hard hat. "Tell me about it. My wife says I've been sleeping like the dead, but I wake up feeling like I could run a marathon." He paused, realizing that wasn't entirely hyperbole. Yesterday, he chased his 5-year-old around the park for 3 hours without getting winded. Across the city, Dr. Emily Rodriguez was experiencing the strangest day of her medical career. Patient after patient came in with identical symptoms: runny nose, watery eyes, slight cough, but their vital signs were unlike anything she'd encountered in 15 years of practice. "Mrs. Patterson," she said to her elderly patient, "your blood pressure is that of a 30-year-old athlete." The 78-year-old woman dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. "Well, I have been feeling unusually energetic lately, despite these awful allergies. Yesterday I reorganized my entire garage without help. Haven't been able to do that in years." Dr. Rodriguez made notes in the patient file, her handwriting crisp despite her watery eyes. What she didn't realize was that her own handwriting had become more precise, her diagnostic thinking sharper, her pattern recognition abilities enhanced beyond normal human parameters. "I'm going to prescribe some antihistamines for the symptoms," she told Mrs. Patterson. "But I'd like to run some additional blood work. There's something unusual in the cellular activity that I want to monitor." Back on the Zephyrian flagship, Dr. Mordak was presenting his preliminary findings to an increasingly agitated Admiral Vextai. "Sir, we may have made a critical error in our assessment of human biological resilience." "What kind of error?" "We based our plague design on standard galactic biological norms. But humans are not standard." Mordak's tentacles gestured frantically at the data displays. "Their evolutionary history is one of constant adaptation to hostile environments. Plagues, climate changes, natural disasters, predation, starvation. They've survived everything their planet could throw at them for millions of years." "Get to the point, Doctor." "The point, sir, is that we may have just provided them with the evolutionary catalyst to survive anything the galaxy can throw at them. Their immune systems aren't just fighting our weapon, they're learning from it, incorporating it, using it to enhance their own biological capabilities." Admiral Vextai stared at the tactical display showing Earth, still spinning serenely in its orbit, still teeming with human life. For the first time in his military career, he felt something he had never experienced before: the cold touch of fear. "How long before we know the full extent of what we've done?" Based on their adaptation rate, Dr. Mordak calculated, "I estimate we'll have our answer within the next 2 weeks." Neither of them realized that humanity's answer was already taking shape in laboratories, construction sites, and medical offices around the world. The Helix Plague hadn't killed humanity. It had given them a gift they didn't even know they were receiving. The age of enhanced humanity was about to begin, and it all started with what they thought was just really bad seasonal allergies. "How are they still breathing?" Admiral Vextai's roar echoed through the command center as his aide delivered the latest reports, the sound reverberating off the curved walls of the Zephyrian flagship like the cry of a wounded predator. "Sir, we've detected unusual activity in their immune systems," Lieutenant Kretak reported, his voice trembling as he manipulated the holographic displays. "The humans appear to be adapting to the Helix Plague? That's impossible." Vextai slammed his clawed appendage against the command console, leaving deep scratches in the biometal surface. "Show me the data." The main display shifted to show microscopic imagery that challenged everything the Zephyrians believed about biological warfare. Human cells weren't just surviving the plague, they were transforming it, rewriting its genetic code and incorporating its adaptive mechanisms into their own DNA structure. Dr. Mordak approached cautiously, his tentacles clutching data tablets that documented the impossible. "Admiral, the human immune response is unlike anything in our biological databases. Instead of breaking down under the plague's assault, their cells are using the viral genetic material as a blueprint for enhancement." "That's scientifically impossible," Vextai snarled, but his compound eyes couldn't deny the evidence before him. Sir, we're not dealing with normal evolutionary processes. This is adaptation occurring in real time, at a rate that should take millennia, not weeks. Dr. Mordak activated another display showing comparative genetic analysis. Look at these cellular structures from samples taken just 72 hours apart. The images revealed human DNA that was literally rewriting itself, incorporating alien genetic sequences and optimizing them for enhanced performance. Where the helix plague was designed to cause cellular breakdown, human biology was treating it as an upgrade package. But the data didn't lie, and across Earth, the evidence of this impossible adaptation was becoming undeniable. In Mumbai, street vendor Raj Patel noticed he could work 16-hour days in the sweltering heat without feeling fatigued. His cart, which used to require help to move when fully loaded, now felt light in his hands. His wife, Priya, mentioned that her chronic arthritis had mysteriously disappeared overnight, and she could see individual leaves on trees 3 blocks away with crystal clarity. The strange thing, Priya told her neighbor while hanging laundry, is that despite these awful allergies, I feel better than I have in 20 years. She lifted a basket of wet clothes that would have strained her back just weeks ago, now handling it as if it were filled with feathers. Their daughter, Anita, seemed to be growing taller by the day, but more concerning was her sudden academic performance. The 12-year-old had gone from struggling with basic mathematics to solving complex equations that her teachers couldn't understand. "Mama," Anita said one evening, looking up from her homework with eyes that seemed unusually bright, "I think I can see patterns in numbers now, like they're speaking to me." Halfway around the world, in Sao Paulo, marathon runner Isabella Santos broke her personal record by 12 minutes, despite feeling congested and dealing with watery eyes throughout the entire race. Her heart rate monitor showed impossible readings. Her cardiovascular system was performing at levels that should have been physically impossible for human physiology. "Must be the altitude training," she joked to reporters after the race, not realizing she had just run faster than any human in recorded history. What she also didn't mention was that she could hear individual conversations in the crowd from hundreds of meters away, or that she could smell the specific cologne of a reporter standing 20 feet downwind. Her coach, Marcus Silva, reviewed the race footage with growing bewilderment. "Isabella, look at this slow-motion replay. Your stride length increased by 30%, but your breathing remained steady throughout. This isn't just improvement, this is biological transformation." The Zephyrians watched these developments with growing horror as their monitoring stations transmitted data that rewrote their understanding of biological warfare. Admiral Vextai found himself facing reports that seemed pulled from science fiction rather than military intelligence. "Sir," Dr. Mordak reported with barely concealed terror, "we're detecting neurological changes as well. Human brain activity is increasing exponentially. Their cognitive processing speed, pattern recognition, and problem-solving abilities are advancing beyond our measurement capabilities." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying we haven't just failed to kill them, Admiral. We've made them smarter, stronger, faster, more resilient. Their lifespans are extending, their physical capabilities are enhancing, and their mental acuity is evolving at a rate that defies every law of biology we understand." Through the view screen, Earth continued its peaceful rotation, but the energy signatures emanating from its surface were changing. Where once the Zephyrians had detected the chaotic, scattered patterns of primitive civilization, they now observed something else entirely: organized, coordinated activity that suggested a level of cooperation and efficiency that shouldn't have been possible. "Admiral," Lieutenant Kretak's voice cracked with fear, "we're detecting unusual construction activity across their major population centers. They appear to be building something." Vextai studied the tactical displays, his military mind processing implications that chilled him to his core. "Construction? What kind of construction?" "Unknown, sir. But the scale is massive, and the speed of construction is accelerating daily. Whatever they're building, they're doing it with coordination and efficiency that suggests..." "Suggests what?" "Suggests they're no longer the same species we targeted for extinction 6 weeks ago." In the depths of space, the Zephyrian High Command faced a terrifying reality. Their perfect weapon had backfired in the most catastrophic way imaginable. They hadn't destroyed humanity. They had created something new, something enhanced, something that was rapidly becoming far more dangerous than the primitive species they had sought to eliminate. The transformation was accelerating, and soon the Zephyrians would discover that their greatest enemy was no longer confined to a single planet. Dr. Emily Rodriguez was having the strangest month of her medical career. Patient after patient came in with the same constellation of symptoms. Runny nose, watery eyes, slight cough, but their blood work was unlike anything she'd ever seen in 15 years of practice. "Run it again," she told her lab technician, Marcus, for the 6th time that week. "Doc, I've run it 12 times already using 3 different machines. The results are consistent." Marcus pulled up the cellular analysis on his screen, his voice carrying a mixture of excitement and fear. "Their white cell counts are off the charts, but in a way that suggests enhancement rather than infection. And look at this." He pointed to a cellular image that seemed to pulse with its own internal light. Emily leaned closer, adjusting her glasses. What she saw defied medical explanation. The cells weren't just healthy, they were optimized, streamlined, operating at efficiency levels that should have been impossible for human biology. "I've never seen immune cells this active and organized," Marcus continued. "It's like they're communicating with each other, coordinating responses in real time. And the mitochondrial activity." He switched to another display. "Doc, these people should have the energy levels of Olympic athletes, but they're just regular patients complaining about allergies." Emily frowned at the data, her enhanced cognitive abilities, though she didn't recognize them as such yet. Processing patterns and connections at superhuman speed. These weren't normal human cells anymore. They were something more evolved, more sophisticated. "What's the common factor among all these patients?" she asked, though part of her already suspected the answer. All of them started showing symptoms approximately 6 weeks ago. All of them report the same basic complaints: seasonal allergies, congestion, watery eyes. "But Doc," Marcus hesitated, "all of them also report feeling better than they have in years." Meanwhile, reports were flooding in from around the world that painted a picture of unprecedented global change. Hospital emergency rooms sat mysteriously empty as people experienced what they continued to dismiss as the worst allergy season in history. But nobody was getting seriously sick. Instead, the opposite was happening with alarming consistency. In London, 90-year-old Margaret Thompson had not only climbed 3 flights of stairs without her cane, but had done so while carrying 2 heavy shopping bags. Her daughter found her reorganizing furniture in her apartment, by herself. "Mom, you haven't been able to move that dresser in 10 years, her daughter protested. "Well, these allergies seem to have given me my strength back," Margaret replied, dabbing at her watery eyes. "Though I must say my vision has improved remarkably. I can read the fine print on medicine bottles without my glasses." In Tokyo, programmer Kenji Nakamura realized he'd been coding for 22 hours straight without fatigue, writing more elegant algorithms than he'd ever conceived before. His code seemed to write itself, patterns and solutions appearing in his mind with crystalline clarity. "The strangest thing," he told his colleague during what should have been a lunch break, "is that despite feeling congested, my thinking has never been clearer. I'm seeing connections and optimizations that I never noticed before." In Lagos, teacher Amara Okafor noticed she could read the expressions on her students' faces from across the classroom without her glasses. More remarkably, she seemed to instinctively understand what each child needed academically before they even raised their hands. "Miss Amara," one of her students asked, "how did you know I was confused about fractions before I said anything?" Amara paused, realizing she had indeed known, somehow sensing the child's confusion through subtle cues she'd never been able to perceive before. "Lucky guess," she said, but privately wondered if something fundamental was changing in her perception. Aboard the Zephyrian flagship, Admiral Vextai received a communication that made his hemolymph freeze in his circulatory system. "Sir, we're detecting massive energy signatures from Earth," Lieutenant Kretak reported, his voice barely steady. "The humans are launching something. Impossible. Our intelligence reports indicated they barely had the technology to reach their own moon reliably. Sir, you need to see this immediately. The main display activated, showing Earth's surface dotted with launch sites that definitely hadn't existed in their intelligence files. Sleek vessels were rising from the planet's surface with impossible grace, ships that looked nothing like the primitive chemical rockets in their strategic assessments. These craft moved with organic fluidity, their hulls gleaming with what appeared to be biometallic compounds. The energy signatures were unlike anything in the Zephyrian database, suggesting propulsion systems that somehow married biological and technological principles. How long since we deployed the weapon? Vextai asked, though he dreaded the answer. 41 days, sir. Vextai stared at the screen in disbelief. In just over a month, humanity had gone from struggling with basic space travel to launching what appeared to be an entire fleet of advanced spacecraft. The implications were staggering. Sir, Dr. Mordak's voice crackled over the communication system. I'm receiving preliminary analysis of these vessels. The construction materials appear to be a hybrid of their existing technology and something else. Something that incorporates biological components in ways that shouldn't be possible with their current science. You're saying they've made technological leaps that should have taken centuries? I'm saying they've made technological leaps that we don't fully understand, Admiral. These ships are using principles that aren't in our engineering databases. Through the observation ports, Vextai could see the first of the human vessels approaching the edge of Earth's atmosphere. Its movement wasn't the clumsy acceleration of primitive rockets, but the smooth, purposeful motion of something that had transcended mechanical limitations. Admiral, Lieutenant Kretak called out. We're receiving a transmission from the lead vessel. They're requesting communication. Vextai's mandibles clicked nervously. Human vessels don't have interstellar communication capabilities. They do now, sir. The revelation was complete. Humanity wasn't just surviving the Helix Plague. They were using it as a catalyst for evolution that was happening in real time. In 6 weeks, they had transformed from a primitive planetary species into something that could challenge Zephyrian technology. And they were no longer confined to their home world. The ship that emerged from Earth's atmosphere was a marvel of engineering that shouldn't have been possible. A seamless fusion of human ingenuity and alien-enhanced biology. Captain Maria Santos, former Air Force pilot turned commander of humanity's first true starship, stood on the bridge of the Rising Phoenix and smiled despite her stuffed sinuses. The vessel itself defied conventional physics. Its hull appeared to breathe, expanding and contracting with organic rhythms, while maintaining perfect structural integrity. Bioluminescent patterns pulsed along its surface, creating a neural network that processed information faster than any computer humanity had previously conceived. Ma'am, we're receiving multiple signals from unknown vessels. Her communications officer, Lieutenant James Wright, reported. His enhanced cognitive abilities allowed him to process dozens of alien communication protocols simultaneously. They appear to be of extraterrestrial origin. On screen, the Zephyrian ships materialized before them, their sleek forms bristling with weapons that had conquered 17 civilizations. But Maria felt a strange calm wash over her, a clarity of thought she'd never experienced in her 20-year military career. Her enhanced mind was processing tactical information at speeds that would have been impossible just weeks ago. The bridge crew worked with an almost telepathic synchronization that unnerved even themselves. They could sense each other's thoughts, anticipate orders before they were given, and coordinate responses with inhuman precision. The viral enhancement hadn't just improved their individual capabilities, it had networked their consciousness in ways that transcended normal human interaction. Open a channel, Maria commanded, her voice carrying new harmonics that seemed to resonate with authority beyond her rank. Admiral Vextai's image appeared on the view screen, his compound eyes reflecting a mixture of rage and primal fear. Behind him, the Zephyrian bridge buzzed with panicked activity as officers tried to make sense of readings that challenged their understanding of reality. Humans, you should be dead. Vextai's mandibles clicked furiously. The Helix Plague was designed to sterilize your worthless planet. Maria tilted her head, studying the alien with newfound analytical precision. Her enhanced perception could read micro-expressions in Vextai's alien features, detecting fear beneath his bluster. Her mind was calculating probability matrices, analyzing weapon configurations, and formulating strategic responses faster than the ship's computer systems. You did this, didn't you? The allergies everyone's been having. The Helix Plague was meant to eliminate your species from the galaxy. Ha! Maria wiped her nose with a tissue, the mundane gesture contrasting sharply with the historic nature of first contact. Well, thanks for the upgrade. Behind her, the bridge crew demonstrated capabilities that would have been science fiction weeks earlier. Lieutenant Commander Wright calculated targeting solutions in his head with accuracy that surpassed the ship's tactical computers. Engineer Sofia Petrov could visualize the ship's entire structure in 4 dimensions, sensing stress patterns and optimizing system performance through intuitive understanding rather than technical analysis. You don't understand? Vextai snarled, his voice cracking with desperation. We are the Zephyrian Empire. We have conquered 1,000 worlds across 17 sectors of the galaxy. Congratulations, Maria replied with unsettling calm. But you made one critical mistake. What mistake? You tried to kill us with a virus. She leaned forward, her eyes now showing flecks of silver that definitely hadn't been there a month ago, a sign of the genetic optimization occurring in real time. Do you have any idea what viruses have done to humanity throughout our evolutionary history? The tactical display behind her illuminated with more human ships emerging from Earth's atmosphere. Not dozens, hundreds. Each vessel showed the same organic integration of biology and technology, the same impossible fusion of human engineering principles with alien-enhanced capabilities. Dr. Rodriguez, now serving as the fleet's chief medical officer, stepped forward from her station. Her transformation was remarkable. Where once she had been a competent small-town physician, she now possessed an intuitive understanding of biology that transcended human knowledge. Admiral, she said, her voice carrying new depths of authority. You need to understand something fundamental about human evolutionary history. We're not like other species you've encountered. We're persistence hunters who evolved on a planet that spent 4 billion years trying to perfect the art of extinction. Through the view screen, they could see more human vessels approaching, sleek predators moving through space with organic grace. Each ship represented not just technological advancement, but evolutionary leapfrogging that had compressed millions of years of development into mere weeks. We've survived ice ages, asteroid impacts, supervolcanic eruptions, and countless plagues, Dr. Rodriguez continued. Every challenge made us stronger, more adaptable, more resilient. And when something tries to kill us with the very forces that forged our species, she smiled, revealing teeth that seemed subtly different, sharper, more efficient. We don't just survive. We evolve. Vextai's compound eyes widened as he began to comprehend the magnitude of his error. The humans weren't just technologically advanced. They were biologically optimized for warfare, enhanced by his own weapon to become something beyond their original species. Impossible, he screamed. You cannot have built so many ships so quickly. Maria's smile carried the confidence of an apex predator that had just realized its true nature. Admiral, 6 weeks ago we thought we were dealing with hay fever. Today, we're having our first conversation with aliens who tried to commit genocide against our species. Tomorrow, she gestured to the growing fleet around them. Tomorrow we'll show you what evolution in real time really looks like. The age of enhanced humanity had arrived, and it was nothing like the Zephyrians had expected. They had unleashed biological warfare against a species uniquely equipped to turn any weapon into an evolutionary advantage. And now that species was looking back at them with the patient, calculating gaze of predators who had just discovered they were no longer prey. The Zephyrian retreat was swift but not swift enough. Human ships, powered by fusion reactors that had been theoretical just a month ago, gave chase across the solar system with the relentless determination of apex predators pursuing wounded prey. Captain Maria Santos stood in the command center of the Rising Phoenix, her enhanced cognitive abilities processing tactical data from across the entire human fleet. The viral enhancement hadn't just improved their bodies and minds, it had created something unprecedented in galactic history. a species capable of instantaneous collective coordination across vast distances. "Fleet status report," she ordered, her voice carrying harmonics that resonated through the ship's bioneural network. "All 237 ships reporting ready, Captain," came the reply from Commander Wright, his consciousness now seamlessly interfaced with the fleet's tactical systems. "We have them outnumbered 4-1, and our vessels are demonstrating superior speed and maneuverability." The human fleet moved through space like a synchronized organism, each ship anticipating the movements of others through their enhanced neural connectivity. Where traditional space warfare required complex communication protocols and coordination delays, the enhanced humans operated with the fluid precision of a single mind distributed across hundreds of vessels. On the retreating Zephyrian flagship, Admiral Vextai was experiencing something his species had rarely felt throughout their conquests: absolute terror. The tactical displays showed human ships closing the distance with impossible speed, their organic hulls adapting to space conditions in real time. "Sir, the humans are gaining on us," Lieutenant Kretak reported, his voice trembling with fear that infected the entire bridge crew. "Their ships are demonstrating capabilities that exceed our best engineering projections by several orders of magnitude." "How is this possible?" Vextai demanded, watching his once mighty fleet being systematically hunted by creatures he had dismissed as primitives weeks earlier. "Our intelligence indicated they had barely achieved chemical propulsion for interplanetary travel." Dr. Mordak, monitoring the human transmissions with growing horror, provided the terrifying answer. "Admiral, they're not using the same technology they possessed before our intervention. Their cognitive enhancement is allowing them to understand and implement scientific principles that should take centuries to develop. They're essentially evolving technologically in real time." Through the viewscreen, they could see the human fleet approaching, ships that gleamed with an almost organic quality, their hulls rippling with bioluminescent patterns that suggested they had been grown rather than constructed. Each vessel moved with predatory grace, their formation shifting and adapting like a pack of spaceborne hunters. The most unsettling aspect wasn't their speed or technology, it was their behavior. The human ships moved with patience, cutting off escape routes methodically rather than rushing in for immediate destruction. They were herding the Zephyrian fleet like experienced hunters corralling prey. Maria's voice crackled across all Zephyrian communication channels, her enhanced vocal cords producing frequencies that somehow bypassed their encryption protocols. "Admiral Vextai, this is Captain Santos of the Earth Defense Fleet. You have committed an act of war against humanity. You have two options: surrender and face justice under our jurisdiction, or continue running and face the consequences of natural selection." "We will not surrender to primitives," Vextai snarled back, though his mandibles clicked with barely controlled fear. "Primitives?" Maria's laugh carried an unsettling musical quality that seemed to resonate through the hull of the Zephyrian ship. "Admiral, you fundamentally misunderstand what you've created. You didn't attack primitives. You attacked a species that spent millions of years becoming the ultimate survivors on a planet that specialized in extinction events." She paused, allowing her words to sink in before continuing. "You turned us into something new, something optimized, something that's about to demonstrate why trying to exterminate persistence hunters was the worst tactical decision in galactic history." The human ships began their coordinated assault, not a brutal charge, but a systematic demonstration of superiority. They disabled weapons systems with surgical precision, crippled engines without destroying hulls, and demonstrated control over the battlefield that was both technically impressive and psychologically devastating. In the medical bay of the Rising Phoenix, Dr. Rodriguez monitored the crew's vital signs with clinical fascination. Heart rates remained steady, stress hormones stayed within normal parameters despite active combat conditions. The viral enhancement had given them more than physical capabilities. It had provided an almost supernatural calm under pressure. "Captain," Communications Officer Lieutenant Park called out, "we're receiving transmissions from the Zephyrian home fleet. They're demanding to know what happened to their advance force and requesting status updates." Maria smiled, her silver-flecked eyes reflecting the starlight filtering through the bridge's bio-transparent sections. "Patch me through to their entire communication network." As the connection established, she could sense the fear rippling through Zephyrian space. Terror spreading faster than their fastest ships as reports of the impossible human capabilities reached their command centers. "This is Captain Maria Santos, speaking for the Enhanced Human Collective," she began, her voice carrying across light years to Zephyrian High Command. "Your advance fleet attempted to commit genocide against our species using biological warfare. They failed catastrophically." She gestured to the tactical display showing the captured Zephyrian vessels, their crews alive but completely outmatched. "We're not interested in conquest. We're not driven by territorial expansion. But we want you to understand something very clearly. Humanity remembers its enemies." The transmission cut through Zephyrian space like a shockwave, carrying with it the realization that their perfect weapon had created their perfect nemesis. The hunt had begun, and for the first time in their imperial history, the Zephyrians were the prey. The Zephyrian High Command convened in emergency session as reports flooded in from across their empire, each transmission more terrifying than the last. The humans hadn't just repelled their invasion force, they had captured it, studied it, reverse-engineered technologies that had taken the Zephyrian centuries to develop, and then improved upon them in ways that defied comprehension. In 73 days, Intelligence Chief Morpak reported, his tentacles trembling as he manipulated the holographic displays. "The humans have established permanent colonies in 22 star systems. They're not expanding through conquest. They're spreading like a biological organism, adapting each colony to local conditions with impossible speed." Grand Admiral Zekthor, Supreme Commander of the Zephyrian forces and architect of countless successful campaigns, studied the tactical displays with growing dread. The holographic map showed human presence spreading across the galaxy like a neural network, each new colony connected to others through instantaneous communication methods that bypassed known physics. "Show me the human fleet composition," he ordered, though he suspected the answer would challenge everything he understood about military logistics. The holographic display erupted with thousands of contacts. Ships that incorporated Zephyrian technology but improved upon it in ways that seemed almost insulting. Vessels that repaired themselves using organic components, weapons that adapted to enemy defenses in real time, and propulsion systems that violated several fundamental laws of physics. Current estimates place their fleet strength at over 200,000 vessels. Morpak continued, his voice barely audible. "They're manufacturing them using principles we don't understand, at rates that should be physically impossible. And their population growth?" The intelligence chief's tentacles drooped with defeat. "Still approximately 7 billion, sir. But they're no longer the same species we targeted for elimination. Reports from our captured personnel indicate that humans now possess lifespans measured in millennia, perfect physical health, enhanced strength that allows them to manipulate materials we require machinery to handle, and cognitive abilities that process information faster than our best computer systems." Zekthor's compound eyes fixed on the display showing Earth, now surrounded by massive orbital installations that had been constructed with organic efficiency. The planet had become the heart of something unprecedented. A technological-biological hybrid civilization that combined the best aspects of both evolutionary paths. What about their social structure? Surely the rapid changes have caused political instability. "Sir, that's perhaps the most disturbing aspect of their transformation. They've achieved near-perfect social coordination. Their enhanced neural connectivity has eliminated most interpersonal conflict. They operate as a collective intelligence while maintaining individual creativity and initiative." A new voice joined the conference, Captain Maria Santos, her image transmitted directly to their most secure channels with casual disregard for Zephyrian encryption technology. "Greetings, Zephyrian High Command. I am Captain Santos, speaking for the human collective." Her appearance had continued evolving, her eyes now completely silver, her features carrying an otherworldly beauty that suggested optimization beyond mere aesthetics. "How did you breach our communications?" Zekthor demanded, though he suspected the question itself revealed their technological inferiority. "Your encryption algorithms are based on computational limitations that no longer apply to us," Maria replied simply. "We've come to deliver a message to your entire civilization. We will not surrender our empire." "Surrender?" Maria's laugh carried harmonics that somehow resonated through their ship's hull, creating an unsettling musical quality. Grand Admiral, you fundamentally misunderstand our purpose. We're not here to conquer your empire. We're here to thank you for the gift you gave us. The Zephyrian leadership exchanged confused glances, their strategic training unable to process this unexpected response. Thank us. Your virus didn't kill us. It liberated us from biological limitations we didn't even know we had. It freed us from the constraints of short lifespans, genetic weaknesses, and fragmented thinking. Her silver eyes seemed to look directly into their souls across the vastness of space. You gave us the tools to become what we were always capable of becoming. Dr. Rodriguez stepped into view beside her, now serving as humanity's chief evolutionary biologist. Her transformation was remarkable. Where once she had been a small-town physician, she now possessed an intuitive understanding of biological systems that transcended any single species' knowledge. We've completed our analysis of your viral weapon, she explained with clinical precision. It's actually quite elegant, designed to exploit genetic vulnerabilities by targeting cellular repair mechanisms. The problem is that humans don't have genetic vulnerabilities in the traditional sense. We have genetic diversity, redundancy, and adaptive mechanisms built from millions of years of surviving on a planet that specialized in creative extinction methods. What do you want from us? Zekthor asked, though he dreaded hearing the answer that would define his species' future. Nothing, Maria replied, her voice carrying across the galaxy to every Zephyrian outpost and colony. We wanted you to understand that humanity has a perfect memory for both kindness and cruelty. You attempted to commit genocide against our species using biological warfare. We will not forget that. She gestured to displays showing human colonies throughout formerly Zephyrian space. Not conquered territories, but voluntary refuges where alien species sought protection under human governance. We've encountered the civilizations you've pacified over the centuries. Many of them have asked for our protection. We've granted it. Her expression softened slightly. We're not interested in conquest or revenge, but we are very interested in ensuring that biological warfare is never again used against any species in this galaxy. The transmission cut out, leaving the Zephyrian High Command in stunned silence as the implications settled over them. Across the galaxy, human ships continued their expansion, carrying with them a simple message for any species they encountered. We are humanity. We were once fragile creatures confined to a single world. Our enemies tried to destroy us with a plague designed to exploit biological weakness. Instead, it revealed our greatest strength, the ability to adapt, evolve, and transcend limitations. We are evolution in action. We are adaptation incarnate. We are the species that not only survives extinction but uses it as a stepping stone to something greater. And in the depths of space, Admiral Vextai, now in human custody and studying their enhanced capabilities with a mixture of terror and reluctant admiration, made a final log entry. Personal note to future military strategists. In our arrogance, we believed we understood the nature of strength and weakness. We thought we were unleashing death upon the humans. Instead, we gave them immortality. We thought we were ending their story. Instead, we became the catalyst for the most significant evolutionary leap in galactic history. We have not destroyed humanity. We have created something far more dangerous than any conqueror. A species that cannot be destroyed by anything the universe can devise. They are no longer prey in the cosmic ecosystem. They have become the apex predators, and they achieved this transformation through the very weapon we designed to annihilate them. May whatever cosmic forces govern evolution have mercy on any species foolish enough to threaten them again. The age of human expansion had begun, born from what started as humanity's collective complaint about seasonal allergies. The greatest irony in galactic history was that the most devastating biological weapon ever created had failed not because it was ineffective, but because it had chosen the wrong target. A species that had spent its entire evolutionary history turning every attempt at extinction into an opportunity for growth. Humanity had learned to dance with death so well that when death finally came calling with the perfect weapon, they simply invited it to become their partner in the next stage of evolution. Final note: The greatest mistake an enemy can make is attempting to destroy humanity with the very forces that made humanity strong in the first place. We are the species that looked at viruses, bacteria, predators, climate change, and extinction events and said, "Is that all you've got?" We are the apex survivors of a planet that spent 4 billion years perfecting the art of ending life. And now, thanks to our enemies, we're something even more dangerous. Survivors who can't be killed, enhanced by the very weapons meant to destroy us, evolved beyond the limitations that once constrained us. We are proof that sometimes the best way to strengthen something is to try to break it. The age of enhanced humanity has begun, and it all started with what we thought was just really bad hay fever.